many comments on the channel, I started numbering them, are, "You look creepy in the videos." One guy even said, "Show your face." I'm not sure why he said that. But I want to point out previous video. YouTube inevitably tore down a bunch of videos from a YouTuber who ended up being a mass murderer or an attempted one. He's a mass shooter. Only one of the channels was taken down. The other one is left up. All of my attempts to mirroring any of the data failed. Other people have succeeded. I also want to point out that YouTube, Google, and many archives went out of their way to not let you archive the Facebook page you had up. But I did succeed in getting the archives of the files that were up at the time done. I'll include a link below. Next, someone put up a YouTube video about a murder occurrence that was very disturbingly similar to the murders in Delphi. And I had done a video on it before. And of course, it's on a channel that's been taken down because I insulted somebody that Google and YouTube found very important, Adolf Hitler. So, anyway, someone put up a video and linked to it. I'll have an archive link to the person's posting, saying he may have an idea who did this or some pattern. And he's very nervous about the 13th of a month being the day the person habitually does murders. This is based on Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins. They were last seen in Meyers Lake, Evansdale, Iowa, and I'm including an archive to the exact location for both the image for the crime scene or the abduction scene and a Google Street View because someone finally went out there and walked the trail right by where the bicycles were found in Meyers Lake. Now, the crime scene at Seven Bridges Wildlife Park, Iowa, in Bremer County, I've done a video about that before, and people came to, I think, the wrong conclusion about its location, where they were found, but that crime scene image is also an archive below, and then the Google Map thing. You have to look to, not 2012, but 2013 or sometime later on Google Earth, moving forward and back through the time and date stamps for the aerial photos to be able to see the mud and trail pattern that was there. People are assuming it's 800 feet east or west, north or south or whatever, but the location is what I found on my previous video. I was reminded of this. Anyway, my one critique of the person's video on the subject is they didn't include that information, so I included it as a comment. And not revealing how someone was murdered doesn't prove that there was a gruesome, it's too gruesome to reveal. Not revealing it is used specifically so that if they ever catch somebody, the person might confess to it and accurately give out information that only the police know. The reason for that is simple. After every murder, after any dead body shows up, even if it's not a murder, someone will come along and confess to it for several reasons. One of them needing attention, hoping that they won't get prosecuted. Two, some of them wanting to heal emotional wounds in an area because not knowing who did it leaves an open emotional wound for everybody in the area. So the police departments in most areas have learned to withhold at least some information so that if a prosecution happened, they would be able to directly trace it to the person. We are now so many years along, this would be useless except if a person confessed. And you'll notice in the case of Delphi, the murders in Delphi, they keep talking about the person coming forward and clearing their conscience. I don't believe anybody who does these sorts of things has a conscience. Anyway, the person's saying these appear to be connected or linked because the 13th of the month is when both of them were occurrences where the people were abducted. That's a bit of a stretch. I don't think it's accurate. However, everything else in the video, even though it's got some music in the background and it's basically just something they could put up as a text file, but anyway, the assertion of the person is this. Both of them involve the word bridge. Both of them involve locations that were train trestle areas that were notorious for the area, that were part of the culture in the area, socially and economically, and that they'd been converted over to being parks, almost like it's a person who used to be I'm going to pontificate the person maybe leaning here to saying that this was a rail fan or a bridge fan, train fan, who mourns the days of the trains going away in the 80s. I've met people like that. So this is a plausible thing, I guess. So anyway, I don't have the video for the Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook murders. the video's gone. But the only thing about it that I was able to ever contribute was the GPS locations of the starting and ending points for what happened to them. So you can read that information below if you wish to. I'll include their names in the video title, I guess. It seems appropriate. And also, again, the takedown, inevitably, by YouTube and Google of all of the videos by the guy who did the shooting in New York happened. But they only took down the one channel and not the other. And the Facebook page has been taken away. And I want to point out yesterday, Archive Today was extremely difficult to get it to complete any archiving. And YouTube kept sending network reset packets back to my computer, which is a little weird. Google kept noticing I was looking up certain things and kept resetting the connection. I checked it by running another utility command line, running it through, and using my login credentials because I had logged in. That was when it started doing it. And when I didn't have login credentials emulating my browser, it didn't reset the packets. But then I literally got in my face packet reset. Connection was reset by recipient, Google. So Google itself, not YouTube, Google, using my account data, decided to reset my connection while I was trying to use the internet connection, just at random. That should scare the living fuck out of everybody who's listening. I'm going to repeat myself. Me trying to use archive.org and Archive Today to make archives of the Facebook page this guy had up so we could keep it from getting erased so that we can find all the data. Google was dead ass interfering with packets. And when I logged out and tried to do it, all of a sudden the connection worked just fine. No packet resets because I didn't go to google.com. When I went to google.com and then went from there after looking up the Facebook page through Google because it'll let me do it, it still worked fine. I guess being logged in is a bad idea for archiving. So, if you're trying to use archivers of especially evidence that's going to become controversial, make sure you're not logged into Google and they won't try to fuck with your connection and reset your router. I'm not sure if that's really what happened, but that's what the packet identification said. Packet reset. And it wasn't the recipient. I was trying to go somewhere else. How many of you had that problem? Thanks for watching, Abigail.